Yes, good evening. How is everyone out there? Today is Saturday. We are a bit late. I got held with the traffic small, so I apologize for the delay. Today we're going to be talking about something very, very interesting. Last session we spoken about men sexual dysfunction, and we explained about erectile dysfunction and fast discharge or premature ejaculation. Just like men have sexual weakness and sexual dysfunction, women also can have sexual dysfunction. And you'll be surprised to know that 1 out of 3 women will have or have sexual dysfunction. So it is important for us to know what is a sexual response in a woman. Like we had explained before in previous sessions, we say sex, whether in a man or in women, starts from above the shoulders. Below the waist is just mechanical. So everything starts in the head. Everything about sex is above the shoulders. Below the waist is just mechanical. So when we say that, this, for a woman is a bit different. I think the audio is not there. Vola, I'm getting messages that the audio is mute. Is that so? I don't know, maybe my mic. Vola, if you hear me. Is the audio okay? Production, please. Is the audio okay? Anyway, it should be okay. Maybe in the network for the internet, for the social media, but for the TV, I think it should be fine. So, to repeat, like men have sexual weakness and sexual dysfunction, women also have sexual weakness and sexual dysfunction. And more surprisingly, that statistically speaking, we have more common sexual dysfunction in women than in men, or maybe they are a bit equal. It's just that for some reason, women's sexual dysfunction are not spoken of, for cultural reasons, for religious reasons, because if she speaks about that, they will accuse her of things that are not very nice. And you know what I'm talking about. So I'm getting messages that there is no audio on the social media. So please, if we can fix that. So let me turn this off. I cannot take calls. Please send messages. Okay, again, messages after messages, no audio. Please, if we can work on that. So a sexual response in a woman, is something that is a mix of physiology, emotions, and a relationship, and as well religious beliefs, her beliefs about certain things, especially when it comes to sex. Anything that is wrong with all the mentioned above, emotion or physiology or beliefs or relationship, anything that goes wrong with that, her sexual response will not be adequate. Okay, repeated messages, no audio. Okay, maybe we're not too lucky today. Okay, so, okay, the audio said it's being adjusted. Okay, all right, so let me just summarize again. Okay, so here, okay, the audio is back. Okay, good enough. All right, so please, guys, please, I urge you, please no phone calls. If you need anything, please send me a text message and I'll be more than happy to answer. We're already out of time as it is. We already consume half of the time in traffic, so we have few minutes left, and it's a very important topic. I will repeat what I have just said. I said, as men, let me put this in silent now. As men have sexual dysfunction, women also have sexual dysfunction. And statistically speaking, more than 30% of women have sexual dysfunction. The thing is, it is not out there. What's advertised everywhere is men's sexual dysfunction. Women's sexual dysfunction is not really discussed or announced or, something that women will talk about. Why? Because if she talks about this in different or many cultures, actually, she will be accused of things that are not nice. Oh, you this, oh, you that. You understand what I'm talking about. I don't want to say. But, a woman, normally, she does not talk about sexual dysfunction. But I get in the clinic, and it's very, very many cases that, Doc, I never had an orgasm. I do not know what orgasm is. What is wrong? So let me summarize again. A woman's sexual response is a mix of emotion. Okay, they say there is audio now. Thank you. Okay, we are happy. Okay, so we repeated the last few minutes just for those who didn't have audio. So, okay, the audio is back. We thank you, the production, for that. So a woman's sexual response is a mix of emotion, a relationship, a religious belief, or any kind of belief that she may have, and the physiology. So there is physiology involved, there is emotion, which is psychology involved, and also there is certain beliefs that's involved in the sexual response of a woman. Anything that may go wrong with that can lead us to problems. I like to categorize the problems starting from the head going down. When we talk about, okay, well, I don't know, maybe some of you guys complain about the audio, some of you, they have the audio fine, but anyhow, the production will try to fix it. So I apologize for the audio. Anyhow, let's go back to our subject. We're going to categorize this woman dysfunction, sexual dysfunction, into 4 categories, and we'll start from the head. Like we said before, sex for men and for women always start from the head, from above the shoulders. The whole stages is above the shoulders. It starts from here. Down below the waist is just mechanical, as a response to what's going on up here. So sex starts in the head, okay? And it ends mechanically downstairs, down the waist, below the waist. Okay. So now, we're going to categorize the problem. Okay, now we have audio. That's what the production assured us, and also few messages that we have audio on the social media, so everybody can watch, okay? So if you don't have audio, something is wrong with your device. Adjust your device, but now we have audio. Thank you very much, production, I appreciate, because I'm getting crazy messages here. Okay, so now let's start now, because we have few minutes, and most likely we're going to repeat this session because I'm getting a lot of people waiting for it, and we will discuss as much as possible, and we'll take questions as well. So let's start with the first thing. What goes on the head that has to do with sex, whether men or women? That's the desire. As men have desire to have sex, women also have desire to have sex. So the desire is a response of hormones. If we say the most contributing factor for a male desire was testosterone, believe it or not, for a female is also testosterone. Even though female have a small amount of testosterone, men have much more larger amount of testosterone, but the anatomy very much is the same. When I say the anatomy, a man will have a penis. But believe it or not, a woman will have a structure similar to the penis, we call clitoris, okay? And we said before, the erection in a man is about the blood flow. And do not be surprised when I tell you the excitement and arousal in a woman is also about the blood flow. So the more blood flow we have to the pelvis area, the more sexual satisfaction, the more sexual response the woman would have if the appropriate stimulation is there, we call that arousal, and would be followed by orgasm, which is the peak of the pleasure, and contractions. So we will discuss each phase at separately. We're going to start with the head, and we're going to talk about the desire. We're going to talk about the desire. So normally, the woman should have a desire for men as much as the men have a desire for women. That is the normal. What is the abnormal? The abnormal would be that we have hypoactive. The desire is less. And we have the extreme, there is no desire. So we have small desire and we have no desire. A small desire or hypoactive woman will be a woman that does not think about sex often, but if it comes, it comes. She will not reject, but normally she would not think about it often. A virgin or no desire at all will be a woman that does not even think about it. She doesn't bother with it. It's not a part of her life. She is totally out. Totally out. That is a virgin, or that is no desire. And in this case, the treatment will be a bit difficult. Remember, when we talk about medicine, every disease has a cure. Even desire disorders, we have reasons why would the woman have less interest in sex. Okay, we have reasons, that we have causes that why would a woman be not interested much in sex. So this is the desire, and that is the desire disorders that we have just mentioned. Okay. Now, the next step after you have the desire, we're going to go to the next state, which is arousal. Arousal or excitement. Arousal in men equals to erection. That is erection in men. That's what we call arousal. In women is lubrication. She gets wet. There are glands in response to the sexual stimulation. And we're talking about the foreplay, the touch, the kissing, all the romance before sexual intercourse. All this are included under arousal. Okay, so she aroused, and the evidence that we have, the physiological evidence that we have when a woman aroused is lubrication. Lubrication, she becomes wet. Now, what if a woman cannot be lubricated? So that is now a problem with arousal. Just like men, when the woman cannot erect, that is sexual dysfunction, we call it erectile dysfunction, sexual weakness. A woman also cannot have the appropriate sexual response, and physiologically, she is not wet, she is not lubricated. So let's take some examples. We have mentioned before, it's all about the blood flow in men, and it's all about the blood flow in women. It's the same. Let's say, for example, a lactating woman, a woman that breastfeeding, as well as a woman that is post-menopause. She is already post-menopause. Those women are very much the same. Those women will lose interest in sex and will have arousal problems. Let's explain why. If we say the whole thing is about blood flow, what is wrong with a lactating woman that her blood flow to the genitalia and the pelvis is diminished or less? Remember, when a woman lactates and there is milk coming out of the breast, and we also mentioned before, if in infertility sessions, if a milky discharge coming out of the breast, that's a sign for increase a hormone called prolactin. So a lactating woman, by normal physiology, this is normal physiology, is not like the pathology that we have in infertile women. This is now normal pathology. A woman just delivered, she has a baby, she is breastfeeding. Normally, her prolactin will be high. When prolactin goes high, that is an inhibitory effect automatically in some hormones in the pituitary gland. Don't worry about the names, but if you need to know, they're called LH for luteinizing hormone, FSH for follicular stimulating hormone, that will be inhibited. Those are the hormones that are coming from the brain. Like we said, sex is all here. So those hormones are inhibited because of the breast coming out of the milk, that prolactin that is causing the breast the milk to come out of the breast. That high prolactin decreases the LH, FSH. As a result, LH, FSH goes to the ovary that is low. Now you have FSH, LH are low, and those are the stimulation for the ovaries. We have a small stimulation manifested by the small amount of hormones will give me small stimulation to the ovaries. That means estrogen will be less. So now, anything, as a general rule, anything that causes low estrogen from the ovaries will give me a state of sexual dysfunction. Now, what is the relationship between estrogen and sex, sexual response, sexual dysfunction? Remember, again, it's all about what? Blood flow. Estrogen causes increase in the blood flow in the pelvic area. And if I have increase in the blood flow in the pelvic area and the genitalia is there, the whole sexual response is there, then it makes a lot of sense. I need to have estrogen in order for me to have increased blood flow, and that will give me good lubrication and good sexual response. So if I'm lactating now, I have increase in prolactin, I have decrease in FSH, LH, I have decrease in estrogen, I have decrease in blood flow that is going to the pelvic area, then it makes a lot of sense. This woman cannot be lubricated and cannot enjoy sex, and this is what we call temporary sexual dysfunction. Because once prolactin is back to normal, the FSH, LH is back to normal, and estrogen is back to normal, and blood flow is back to normal, then the sexual excitement and the arousal phase of the sex will be back to normal. The desire will be back to normal. So what about menopause? What is wrong with this menopause? Post-menopause woman is the same thing. What happened in post-menopause woman? The ovaries are shut down. So when the ovaries shut down, there's no more estrogen coming from the ovaries. So as a result, we have less blood flow going to the pelvic floor, going to the genitalia. I cannot have good sex because I cannot have lubrication, because estrogen is the normal way for me to have lubrication. I don't have any more estrogen. I have less lubrication. I have less blood flow. Because remember, blood flow is what is needed to go to the clitoris. And the clitoris is the most sensitive, area that is very much similar to the penis, but just smaller, a lot smaller. So in the man, we need blood flow. But we cannot say we need estrogen for the man to give me blood flow, because that's totally different. In the woman, we need estrogen in the vagina and in the pelvis to increase the blood flow. So what if a postmenopause woman wanted to have sex, or a lactating woman wanted to have sex? What will be the medical solution in this case? Well, it's very simple. Very simple. Estrogen has a systemic side effect, even though the benefits are much far greater than its side effect. So to avoid all the side effects of estrogen, I will just insert a small estrogen tablet in the vagina, and that will do the trick. Now I enhance the blood flow into the pelvic area, into the genitalia. I have better lubrication, and I can have better sexual response. That is an example to show you that yes, arousal can be compromised if the woman have low estrogen state. So in general now, anything that leads to low estrogen state will affect the woman's sexual response. And now we can have an arousal disorder in a woman that can easily be avoided if we understand how it works. Now, What about desire? How can I fix desire? Desire is fixed by psychotherapy. Remember, I said once before, sexual problems. I see a lot of young men, you know, and young women. You already having sexual problems and sexual dysfunction. I just left the clinic and I had at least 3 young men with sexual dysfunction. Young, I'm talking about 20s, 30s. Huh? This is very young. So the problem here is what? Doc, you know, I used to have good sex 5 months ago, and now 5 months now, since 5 months, I cannot. There is weak erection, and I cannot have sex. That's by the same token, I get women also complaining. But if you compare the number of men that complain about sexual weakness to the number of women that complain about sexual weakness, men is by far more. It does not necessarily mean that women do not have sexual dysfunction. The even higher, statistically speaking, they just don't talk about it because of culture, religious, or whatever reason, or shy, they just don't talk about it. So how are we going to fix the desire disorder, make the woman interested more in sex? Or how are we going to, whether men or women, how are we going to fix the desire disorder? Psychotherapy. What is psychotherapy? I talk, you listen. You talk, I listen. So if I talk, you listen, and you talk and I listen, we call that in one word, communication. Okay? So it's basically communication. So we can easily do that if the man and the husband and a wife, and a man and a woman can easily communicate. If he talks, you listen. And if she talks, you listen. Communication. Communication about what? What are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about likes and dislikes. Okay? Then you're going to tell me, but if the woman never had an orgasm, she doesn't even know what orgasm feels like. Then we're going to give the patient a little bit of education. And we tell her orgasm is just maximum pleasure, is pleasure, something nice that you will feel. And to prove to you that you have an orgasm, you're going to feel contraction in the lower pelvis. You're going to feel muscle contraction. You will feel different physiology, you know. Some women laugh, some women cry, some women you will know when a woman have an orgasm. You will know, and the woman would know. If you never had experienced such a thing, you never had an orgasm. So you have to be educated what orgasm look like to tell me whether you have an orgasm or you never had an orgasm. So physiologically speaking, this is the normal body changes that take place when a woman have orgasm. So if you have already experienced those kind of changes, you already have your orgasm. If you haven't, you never had an orgasm. Now, what about for men? Men ejaculate. That is his orgasm. What is the difference between an orgasm in a woman and an orgasm in a man? A woman is multi-orgasmic. She can have multiple orgasms in one sexual intercourse, while a man can have only one, and he needs maybe half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours. We call it the refractory period to regain power and have another encounter. So that is the difference between a man and a woman. So we spoke now about desire and how we're going to solve desire. Psychotherapy, and the key word in that psychotherapy, what we do is communication. I talk, you listen, you talk, I listen. And then we find, the solution. And the solution is going to be found only if you tell me what you like openly. No hide, there is nothing hidden in a sexual relationship between a man and a wife. You tell me what you like, I know it. I tell you what I like, you know it. Let's put into practice. You do my likes, I do your likes. You avoid my dislikes, I avoid your dislikes. We're already successful. This is the first step on successful relationship. A relationship without sex, you're fooling yourself. Because sex, good sex, is a very important part of a successful relationship between man and a woman. What can affect that beside this? What can affect that? So, what can affect this, I repeat again, if the woman does not know what gets her excited, what gets her to be aroused. She doesn't know. She never experienced such a thing in her life. She has no idea. And we said the solution to that is you get educated. What physiological changes you get during the arousal phase. The arousal phase, remember, you're going to be what? After proper sexual stimulation. Proper sexual stimulation. You cannot just have sexual stimulation doesn't mean intercourse. Huh? Sexual stimulation means the foreplay you do to stimulate a woman before intercourse. You will try to delay the intercourse as long as you possibly can. When a man feels the woman is lubricated, then the woman herself will ask for the intercourse. You cannot rush intercourse without proper lubrication of the female. That is essential. That is essential. Okay, I'm getting a lot of, I'm getting a lot of messages. I will answer you. Let me just finish my few minutes. Well, I don't have many minutes left anyway. Maybe we'll take those questions in next sessions. Okay, I apologize for my delay. It was totally out of my hand. I got stuck in traffic. So I forgot what I was saying. Now, in order for a woman to know the right sexual response, she has to know what normal sexual response is. Okay, so we talk about arousal. We said the normal sexual response will be lubrication. If you have lubrication after proper stimulation, and we said intercourse is not a stimulation. Intercourse is the last thing you want to do, because after intercourse you will have your orgasm and the pleasure has been lost. So it is beneficial for both men and women to extend this period as much as you possibly can to enjoy each other very well. Now, so if you feel the woman is lubricated, then she is ready for intercourse, then that's a good sign. That's a good sign that, okay, the woman is ready for intercourse. Now you try as long as possible to maintain the intercourse so the woman can have her orgasm once, twice, 3 times. It depends. There are multi-orgasmic women. There is two times orgasm woman, but at least is once. Okay. If you communicate with each other, you will know when she has her orgasm, because you will feel the contractions in the vagina and in the lower third of the vagina, especially in the lower third of the pelvis. Her pelvic floor will contract. You will see physiological changes. You know that this woman already have her orgasm. Okay? I cannot take calls, please. Okay? So you understand what I'm saying? Yes. So that is exactly the point. So now, back again. How would a woman know where is her likes? Where is the sensitive point? Every woman have a sensitive point. The clitoris is the most sensitive area of a woman. If the roof of the vagina, the upper section of the vagina, the roof right under the clitoris, you go to the vagina, the roof of the vagina is many folded. You see like rigid folds. This is the base of the clitoris. Most of women, if you slowly stimulate that, it's very beneficial. It adds to a long-term pleasure. Let me mention something to you. A woman who cannot fantasize, she can rarely have an orgasm. And when we talk about fantasize, we're talking, she not necessarily have to fantasize about movie stars. She can fantasize about her own man. That's good enough for her. And also for the men, should also fantasize about their own woman. This is good enough for them. So, there are devices. Let me be open and say something here. I said in a previous session, masturbation is normal. Is a normal sign, is a normal healthy thing that you masturbate. A baby masturbate. From 15 months to 19 months, they start masturbate. Yes, there is no fantasies because their brains are very much limited. They cannot fantasize about anything, but babies masturbate. They feel pleasure when they touch their organs. Yes, they don't have ejaculation yet. They don't have fantasies. They don't fantasize. But masturbation is normal for children, small children. Masturbation is normal for married men, for married women, for young couple, for old couple. Masturbation is normal. When it becomes abnormal, when it becomes a lot more than it's supposed to be, when you have to stop your work and go and masturbate, that's now pathology, that's the sickness. So much better to have your sexual partner full understanding so you don't have to masturbate. Because masturbating meaning failure of communication. If you have your wife or if you have your husband and leave that and go and masturbate, that means failure of communication. You have failed to communicate with your husband, or you have failed to communicate with the wife, and as a result, you rather do masturbation than a successful, good, emotional, loving relationship. Now, I got a message just now, the summary of it. I have a small penis, and my wife doesn't want to have sex with me anymore for the last 4 months because I have a small penis. I tell you, your wife is wrong. If your story is actually true, your wife is wrong, because the size does not make any difference. It makes a bit of a difference. I cannot lie to you. It makes a bit of a difference, but not that big of a difference. What is most important in a sexual relationship is the arousal phase, the excitement phase. This is the most important part. Sexual intercourse is just, let me just get to the peak and get it over with. But the most excitement in the arousal phase. Okay. Now we're going to be talking, it seems like this one session is not going to be enough. I thank the production for giving me a few minutes extra. But let's talk about something else so we can, for the sake of completion, let's talk about something else which is called pain disorder. Pain disorder. What is pain disorder? Can a woman have pain upon sex? Yes, of course. And the example we just mentioned, a post-menopause woman that have low state of estrogen. As a result of the low state of estrogen, we have low blood flow to the area, including the vagina. As a result of the low blood flow, we have thin wall of the vagina that is very much fragile. So we don't have lubrication. We have thin wall of the vagina. Now, if you have penetration with such a woman, it will pain her and she will bleed because there's no lubrication and the vaginal wall is very thin. So that is pain. So if she gets pain time after time after time after time, she will hate to have sex. She will develop fear of having sex. And that is going to be a problem. And we said the solution is very simple. You don't have to take estrogen by mouth. You can just put a small tablet of estrogen in the vagina and it will increase the blood flow and it will fix the problem. If you need to use lubricant, please do. Okay? So that is, now we have also something called vaginismus. This is the extreme version of pain disorder when it comes to sexual dysfunction in a woman. What is vaginismus? Don't worry about the fancy name. There are some women that because maybe wrong beliefs, to them is the right beliefs, but religious beliefs, such and such beliefs, bad sexual abuse before that happened to them, they develop what is called contraction of the outer third of the vagina. You cannot penetrate. She's contracted so hard that nothing can go in. This is fear. Can this be solved? Yes, it can be solved. We use specific dilators and then she will be fine. And also psychotherapy. What is the essence of, what is the backbone of psychotherapy? Communication. What is communication? I talk, you listen. You talk, I listen. That is communication. Communication between who? Between who? Between a husband and a wife. Those are the ones with the problem. You, as a sex therapist, somebody like me, for example, I'll just, target focus questions here, focus questions there, try to mediate the situation, try to promote. Know my likes and do it. Know my dislikes and avoid it. What applies to you applies to him. The same thing. Now, you have to know where is your sensitive spots. Sensitive spots can be discovered when you do masturbation. Most of you have done masturbation. Most of this women out there have done masturbation. They know what area, where to touch to excite them the most. They know. So convey this to the husband. Thank you very much. I took a few minutes above my time. I know the session was a bit short. I promise you next Saturday, stay tuned and we will continue. And I'm quite sure I already get bounded with a lot of questions. I'll answer all of those questions next session when I come, inshallah, next Saturday. Thank you very much for listening and God bless you all and have a nice, wonderful weekend. God bless. Thank you.
Fellow viewers, you're once again welcome to another edition of the Sherma Show. We've been honored today to be in the presence of no other person than Dr. Mrs. Fon Elizabeth Fonong, the CEO of Tesho Family Company, medical doctor by profession. Welcome to the Sherma Show, Mommy.
Thank you.